We'll call the Scottsboro work session Monday, April 15th to order. Mr. Cameron will give the invocation and the pledge of allegiance given by Gary Stewart. We added a sixth item onto the tonight's work session. It's the budget amendment for the tree commission. First item is the council discretionary fund appropriation. Mr. Wood, will you cover that?
Yes, sir, Mr. President. At the time that we did the budget, there was approximately $5,000 left in the council's discretionary fund checking account. At that time, we determined that there was not a need to appropriate funds to the discretionary fund. But since that time, there have been some expenditures that has extinguished those funds, and the council's discretionary fund needs to be some appropriation put into that fund. At this time, I know that there's like $500 deficit, and I would suggest that maybe you think about somewhere between $2,500 and $5,000, unless there's something that you know of that's coming up.
Anybody have any suggestions? Any questions on that? Okay, we'll look at putting that on the agenda next week. Next item is the airport fund appropriation. Mr. Withers, can you cover that, please?
Yes, sir. Over the past several years, the FAA has granted the City of Scottsboro funds to make improvements to the Scottsboro Airport. Those funds, we have to match 5% of those grants. And back during several years, we've had a buildup in that account, and we have not had to appropriate any funds to the airport fund to make the 5% match. But most of those have been extinguished also, and I would suggest that the council make $20,000 appropriation to the airport fund for any future matches for FAA funds.
Any discussion on that? Any questions? I will add that to next week's agenda as well. Next item is the animal shelter. Mayor, cover that.
About 3 weeks ago, you all given a presentation by a couple of people from No Kill Animal Shelter, along with some local residents who have an interest in that, and then they spoke also at the council meeting. I guess what I need to know from you all is that something you want to pursue. To me, the way for us to try to get to that point would be we have 2 full-time enforcement officers that the city pays for, and the county has 1 full-time officer. We have 1 part-time person who works the office, probably 20 hours a week, is that?
Yes, 20 hours.
And, you know, the whole idea, you know, our rates are way too high on the euthanasia, and so the way to get those down, and I feel, and hearing these people speak, is to put a full-time person in the office down there to where they can make it their job to work towards getting these animals adopted. It would be pretty much a full-time job doing that, but also helping out around the building down there. We've had a meeting with Chairman Hodges and Sheriff Phillips, and they have an existing employee that they're willing to put down there for an additional 20 hours, so to help work and to help work towards this project. So I guess I need to know if this is something you're interested in. I think it's very worthwhile and something we should need to strive for. But that first step is taking our part-time person and making a full-time position out of that. And we can, if it's something you want to do, we can work on getting a job description for this person for you to look at. But the main focus for this person would keep them separate from the enforcement side. They would work on getting the animals that we have adopted. Any questions? Or think about it for in the next work session, we can address it again, but if we're going to do it, I'd like for us to work towards that and get started on it.
Do I have any questions? Mayor?
I don't have any questions. I have a statement. It's something we should have done 10, 20 years ago. And in our meeting, when we were talking to the people who brought this forward, it came to my mind, and I made the statement that if we don't, we're probably all going to go to a worse place than we're at today if we don't do something about this. We can't keep putting these dogs to sleep. Of all the departments that I was over when I was police chief, that was one department I wouldn't visit. I wouldn't go. And it's because I knew what was taking place. It's not that it's inhumane, but it's just the fact that it doesn't need to be done. And whatever it takes for us to get this thing changed and in the right direction, I think we ought to do it. We ought to do it very soon.
The people that we have in place there, the enforcement, they're doing their job, and they can't spend the time trying to get these animals adopted, and that's what this position would do. Everyone who works down there does a great job, and it is a tough job, and they understand it's part of the job, but they want to see those numbers go down just like we do.
My only, if I may, in my first life, before I got into finance, I worked for 3 veterinarians for about 8 years, so. And I'm an animal lover, so I'm very well aware of what happens to animals if they don't have homes. My only concern and thought, and I've had several people ask me about this, and I think it's a wonderful idea. I just think of the cost, the funding that it's going to take, because in talking with these people, if an animal's not put to sleep, then we're responsible for its care, housing, until it passes away naturally, or if it gets ill and we do have to euthanize it. So I think about hungry children and hungry animals, and I just think, well, you know, we've got to think about what this is going to cost the city, the taxpayers. I know we can get some donations and some maybe grants and things like that, but if this is going to be something we're going to do from now on, I think we need to look at it from a dollar standpoint.
And unfortunately, that's kind of the number that you don't know as far as how many animals are going to get adopted, how many's going to come in, you know, and that's what these people who came in and spoke said. You have to be all in to do it. So, you're right.
Anything else? We'll go to number 4. Tourism Committee. Brent, talk about that? This came up about 6 weeks ago, back in March, and basically thought it would be a good idea to create a tourism advisory committee, serve on as a advisory capacity to the council. Basically, the reason why we don't have anything in place, we don't have a current plan in place for the direct marketing of Scottsboro and the events that fall within Scottsboro. So basically, the advisory board would kind of help us look to where we need to market Scottsboro and the events that fall within the city, such as, you know, now we've had a cruise now, we've got the upcoming Catfish Festival, Arts in the Park, 4th of July. There's a ton of events that the city as a whole could get behind and sponsor, as well as promoting Scottsboro. Anybody have any questions for Brent, Mr. Miller?
What we, maybe I missed something, but what are we trying to do, or what are we going to do?
Form a advisory committee, basically like how we have the Recom advisory board. It would meet on a monthly basis to review as far as events, marketing, and then present that back to the council on things that we might need to do.
And who recommends that we do this?
Well, I thought it would be something that we haven't had anything to promote Scottsboro. We did have a person in that position several years ago. That position is no longer at the city.
I misunderstood. I thought you said someone.
No, there's not a specific person.
I don't have any problem with that. Just trying to make it clear in my own mind.
Yeah. And then each council member would get an appointment to the board.
And this is an advisory.
Yes.
Mr. Miller, who would, the rec comm advisory board, they answer to Yvonne and the airport to Ty, so who would this group, I mean, we don't have anybody in that place.
From Mr. Cameron, or would that be just the council, because they report directly to the council?
They report to the mayor and council.
We'll put it on next week's council agenda. Thanks, Brent. Next item is the alcohol ordinance. It's been 30 years since Scottsboro went wet, and just would like to look and see if it needs to be updated or tweaked in any form or fashion. If there's any few minor changes that might need to be done. So that being said, I would like to set up a committee of Ralph Dahl, Shane McElmore, Carolyn Perry, and myself to look at it and see, if there's any changes that might need to be made. Again, it's been 30 years since it's been looked at. There's been a few minor changes made, but just like to look at it again with these individuals.
Mr. Kimmer, too, does the ABC board have this, I mean, do they have to approve it or sign off on it, or?
There are certain things with regard to alcohol the town can do without permission of the ABC. Certain things we can't. There are certain things that the council can do without permission of the state legislature. There are certain things that we can't. I understand Mr. Stewart's recommendation. It's to review those things that we can do. And it may require, petition in the legislature to give the authority to do some other things, or petition in the ABC board to give the authority to do others.
We did one thing, I think was one of the better things we did, that I think we had permission to do, and that is, we do not allow people to advertise alcohol. There was names in the windows of the buildings. And so when you drive through this town, if you didn't know it, you wouldn't know it because it was wet. But it just kept from sticking all those flashing signs everywhere. Stuff like that we can do.
It's more a commercial speech aspect as opposed to alcohol only. Mr. Lee, when he wrote various ordinances, it's very learned, and wrote what he called the driest wet ordinance that you've ever seen.
It seems to have worked quite well. It's working well.
If any of y'all would like a copy of the ordinance, holler and give Mr. Weather a call, and be more than glad to get you a copy of it. Next item is number 6, the budget amendment for the tree commission. Mayor.
This is great, and Cecil Wells of the Tree Commission has approached me about us planting some trees on Jefferson Drive along the Fire Department Training Center there along Jefferson Drive, and in the end towards Bynum Fields as a buffer, which I thought was a pretty good idea. There is a lot of use over there, and we can kind of shield some of that. They're wanting to put in some Leland cypress trees. I think they estimated probably about 50. Does that sound like pretty expensive? I think it was 50. Heroes Drive, that's right. Oh, nice to make that mistake with you sitting here, right? Heroes Drive, I'm sorry. And to do that, they would need a budget amendment of about $2,000 if y'all want to go ahead and do that. And I think it would certainly add to the beauty of that area over there. So, and then they were short on some funds on some of their seedlings and stuff, and so this would cover that shortfall if you'd like to do that.
Any questions for the mayor? We'll put it on next week's agenda as well. We'll go to reports. Mayor, you have anything?
Last week, I got the opportunity to go to the Ben Sanford Youth Center and speak to about 30, group of about 30 after-school attendees. Mr. Allen's here tonight. He does a great job up there. And kind of, you know, the work that he does up there and the things that he does, as far as recreation and learning experience that they have, they do a great job. And we're proud to be just a small part of that. But I really enjoyed going up there. If you get a chance sometime, it would really be worth your while to go up there and just to see what all they're accomplishing there. So thank you, Mr. Allen, for the job that you do. You've been doing that how many years now? 11 years. And that's operated through, we give a budget appropriation to and also to the rec comms. That's all I got.
I'm gonna change it up this week. Mr. Stewart, you have anything? Mr. Miller? I don't have anything tonight. Mr. Perry?
Thank you all for being here, buy local, and don't forget to recycle, and Ronnie, y'all keep up the good work. I know you've been busy lately, I've been seeing trucks out.
Mr. Smith? I just have to keep everybody in their thoughts and prayers up in Boston, in that area. With that being said, we'll conclude and adjourn this work session. Thank y'all for coming out.